Welcome to Friday's devotion of this second week that we've been reading Acts. As we enter chapter 8, again, I always encourage you to read this yourself, but as we enter chapter 8, we need to remember so far, the only main character really we've been reading about is Peter. With chapter 8, we see a couple things. We see an expansion beyond Peter. The stories will be about the Apostle Philip. The first story, I'll let you read on your own. All I'll say about it is the expansion isn't only about Philip now being part of the story, but an expansion of the area. And that's why we have a world map to look at today. The first story isn't so much an expansion into a new area, but a new people. I want you to read it yourself, so I'm not going to say too much about the story, only to entice you. Philip is amongst the Samaritans. The Samaritans are more than just a character in one of Jesus' parables. It's a people in the area of Israel, and in that story we are reminded of the Christian understanding of money. Of course, that's the story I'm not going to read. The story I'm going to read needs us to look a little bit closer at our map. This is Israel. Most of the Bible, it's hard to hold this laser pointer steady. Right there, that little area. Most of the Bible is about the Jewish people, the place being Israel. Today, Philip meets an Ethiopian eunuch. Ethiopia is here. Now, that's not saying where this story took place. The person he meets is traveling. The person he meets is a member of the royal contingency, so probably traveled more than the common person. So as a person that will get back to Ethiopia and a person that will hopefully expand the Christian message there, here's the story. Acts 8. Later, God's angel spoke to Philip. At noon today, I want you to walk over to that desolate road that goes from Jerusalem down to Gaza. He got up and went. He met an Ethiopian eunuch coming down the road. The eunuch had been on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem and was returning to Ethiopia, where he was a minister in charge of all the finances of Candace, queen of the Ethiopians. She was riding in a chariot and reading the prophet Isaiah. Let me stop the reading there. Notice this, a pilgrimage to Jerusalem and reading the prophet Isaiah. This Ethiopian queen was perhaps of the Jewish faith. It sounds like that we can assume that. I read on. The Spirit told Philip, climb into the chariot. Running up alongside, Philip heard the eunuch reading Isaiah and asked, do you understand what you're reading? He answered, how can I without some help? And invited Philip into the chariot with him. The passage he was reading was this. As a sheep led to slaughter, and quiet as a lamb being sheared, he was silent, saying nothing. He was mocked and put down, never got a fair trial. But who now can count his kin since he's been taken from the earth? The eunuch said, tell me, who is the prophet talking about? Himself or some other? Philip grabbed his chance. Using this passage as his text, he preached Jesus to him. As they continued down the road, they came to a stream of water. The eunuch said, here's water. Why can't I be baptized? He ordered the chariot to stop. They both went down to the water. Philip baptized him on the spot. When they came up out of the water, the Spirit of God suddenly took Philip off. And that was the last the eunuch saw of him. But he didn't mind. He had what he'd come for and went on down the road as happy as he could be. Conversion on the spot. Baptism in the quickest available water they could find. I think is an appropriate way to finish the week on Acts, as we see a little bit of expansion into different peoples, different areas, come next week, actually it'll be a week from Monday, we'll be back in Acts with an expansion away from Peter, an expansion to a character I won't name until Monday. Many of you know the other main character in Acts besides Peter, who takes the story to the Gentiles. An amazing story. Come on back.